There I am. Hello, everybody, and welcome. Hope it looks like there's a bit of a drag on here. I'm sorry. Not much I can do. Hello, there we go. Hold on. Just 1 second. Let's see. What is up with Jordan Peterson and his tweet? I just heard about. Okay. What is up with Jordan Peterson and his tweet? Yes, I just heard about that. I have been not watching a lot of stuff lately. Steve's home and he's doing well and he's happy to be home. So we're on the second phase of everything. He's got a state of the art pacemaker. That's what the doctor and the doctor's nurse said. That it's the state of the art. Even has a Bluetooth in it. It's on the left-hand side. Made a little pocket just underneath the skin for it just to pop in. It's not very big. Um, it can connect to an app so that it can connect right to the doctors. And what it does, it just keeps track of the rhythm of the heart, and how many beats it's going and things like that. So very cool, very cool. I have to say, thank God again, I live in Canada. Because if people complain about universal health care, but the thing about universal health care, it's universal and we all pay into it. And we all pay into it in case one day you need to go into emergency like we did. And oh, well, you need a pacemaker. Okay. Or there was another gentleman in there and even a couple other people needed defibrillators that were connected that would constantly keep their heart going. Otherwise, they'd be dead, you know? Um, and it's just very good care, just very good care. Now it's the aftercare. See, I sometimes think, with this, it's like you get very good care in the hospital, but sometimes it's the aftercare, the follow-up. There's a lot of loopholes, but you know what? He's alive. He's alive, baby. He's alive. That's the main thing. So let's go take a look at what Jordan Peterson has to say. I think it had to do with Jordan Peterson, he's trending. Podcasting Canadian therapist Jordan Peterson, who has been described as conservative leaning, weighs in recently on a new Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue, which features plus size model on its cover. So he tweeted about a plus size model. But there's been a lot about this. Then fled Twitter amid a flurry of activity. Added a volunteer beauty pageant judge to his resume, then fled Twitter amid the flurry of activity. He was brutal. Yeah, but he is brutal. I just have to say, Jordan Peterson, when he starts talking about things, he was brutal. Featured a beautiful, this plus sized. Okay. One thing, I mean, maybe he was. Hold on. There's just too much pop-ups of him. I found if Jordan Peterson found me hot, I would end it all, and that's a wrap on my life. That was somebody who tweeted back. Is quitting Twitter because he tried to fat shame a cover model, and his mentions got too hot to handle. Jordan Peterson isn't going to see your tweets saying he looks like he's a dying off scurvy. Oh, he's getting harassed. Don't know exactly. Sorry, not beautiful and no amount of authoritarian. Okay, I know where he's coming. I get what he's coming from. I get where he's coming from. Maybe what he said was brutal. But what the thing is that within today's society, everything has to be all inclusive, right? You have to be inclusive. I'm fat. I know I'm fat. I'm not going to go around and flaunt myself. I'd rather be healthy. But a lot of in today's society, they are letting people know, and I think this is the bad part about it, is to let people know that being fat is okay. I don't think being plus size is okay. There's health reasons why people are big. I'm lazy and I don't like to exercise and I like to eat. Hence, you gain weight, right? But there's health risks with that. And I think that's where it comes in. And today, you can't say anything about anybody without it getting back to you. And it's breaking it down. Wow, that's Tim Pool. Yeah, yeah. Tim Pool was breaking. I listened to Tim, and they are explaining it awesomely. Yeah, Tim's pretty good at that. But that's the whole thing, is that people go out on a tangent on this and this misgender, and I think misgender. I'm gonna go on her. What is misgender? Misgender is an artist, chaos ant, Twitter demigoddess, blah 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 blah. Greeting from the sunshine, misgender. So she's a she her. Oh God, fuck me. Um, and see, that's the whole thing. It's like people are getting hung up. Like if I don't do a she her on me on my thing, people are like, oh, but you. Or if I don't spell woman with an X or Y or however they're spelling the word woman, then you are excluded. You're wrong, right? And the thing is, and I think, yeah, Tim will explain it well. I didn't really get to listen to what he had. I had a nap today. I've been exhausted. Um, there's been a lot going on in my life, but Netflix begins layoffs. That's the other thing. Let's see what else is going on. God help him. Oh, Joe Biden. My husband gets upset if I mention anything about Joe Biden because he's all for Joe Biden. Or I don't know if he's all for Joe Biden. Okay, Jordan Peterson says no fat chicks to swimsuit illustrated. Well, I mean, last year, what did they did a transgender dude, and then if anybody said anything about him, it was an Asian guy who was transgender. He identifies as a woman. If anybody thought that was no, I'm not attracted to it, then you are transgender phobia. Um,
are hard, man. And the times I've been overweight,
so
hated
this
myself.
is
I still have body dysmorphia, even though I train every day. And but what you're saying about health is so important. Number one, if you just quote unquote, if you actually thought you
see the thing is when it comes to weight has always been an issue. I've had an eating disorder when I was younger, and I was used to eat and puke, and I wasn't anorexic, but I was bulimic, and it's a hard thing. It's a hard thing. See, it's the weight thing and the way our society pushes it. You go from one extreme to another extreme. I've tried many different diets and I've tried different things, and the thing is that many times they um you lose the weight and then you gain it back because you basically starved your body. And unless you stick with that program 100% all the time, then it works. I mean, because then, but that if you go off of it in some way, you gain your weight back, kind of thing. um to me, if you want to get healthy, eat less and exercise. Find things that you enjoy eating, find things that you enjoy doing, and find a healthy lifestyle. That's what I think. And even right down to when they were doing everything to do with the pandemic, and nobody was talking about a better healthy lifestyle. That's the thing. No one's talking about, how do you boost your immune system? How do you get yourself healthy? those types of things. I think, before, oh, go get this job. And then now people are getting it and they're getting sick. They're getting sick, from it. And more people have the virus and they were the ones who got the jab. But they're just jabbing people up left, right, and center because it's money. It's money. So now it's a whole thing. It's like, oh, well, to make everybody exclusive, let's make it a money thing. Jordan Peterson was probably, maybe shouldn't have said anything, but he did. But the thing is, you know what? Everybody, they don't like what he said. So fine. And now he's not answering them. So why should he answer them? So they really talked through the health thing. Yeah. To be healthy is important. Image is how you look and stuff is huge. And I remember going to high school and the only thing I would eat was raisins. That's the only thing I'd eat is raisins. And I only ate raisins because they were good for you. And I thought because they had iron and I knew I needed iron for energy. Crazy. So I'd eat raisins. I didn't eat carbohydrates for the longest time, which is actually kind of good. No carbohydrates and things like that. And no butter and just ate basically veggies and meat. That was all I eating, and salad and some fruit. That was all I was eating and stuff. I mean, actually, if you look at it, it was kind of healthy, but I had cravings for chocolate cake and things like that, and low self-esteem. And so there's so many levels about it. And the woman on the cover, she doesn't look bad, but I don't think they should have someone who's skinny mini, but I think more, I don't know, it has to do with health, being healthy, and and the whole thing about being healthy. And we're living in such a weird society that um it's such extremes. Like from a guy who says he's a girl and he wants to go swim with girls, and win all the meets, to um you know whatever you want to identify as. But this is, again, this is, I think there's a psychological thing in this too, and it's not healthy. It's not healthy. And a healthy having a healthy society is a good thing, but right now we have an extremely unhealthy society, and we are living in a time where, for years I was saying, people get offended because I say something, and it's because, you should think my way, you know, and I don't. I'll agree to disagree with it all. But I really do have problem seeing obese people, really obese people who especially in the States. This is how bad it is in the States. You can go to a McDonald's, and right beside McDonald's is a Baskin and Robin. Baskin and Robin has a 4,000 calorie um milkshake. I mean, a 4,000 calorie milkshake, that would be your calorie intake for about 2 days, 3 days, should be. But that would be with someone's calorie intake for just lunch with a Big Mac. Um, Eating habits in the States are horrific. I mean, from their portions they give you um, to the food, like to eat healthy, to eat a healthier lifestyle. Um, it's harder, it's really pushed in many areas in the States. Um, Olivia's boyfriend was saying that our whipping cream is their heavy cream. Is their basically their heavy cream, and then they have a whipping cream, and I'm just like, oh my god, no, no wonder you guys, no wonder there's a weight problem, there, because of that. So it's so it is. It's unfortunate. He's going to get slammed for a while, and it's what did somebody say? We have now reached the point where doctors are called fat phobic, or psychologists are called transphobic. Yeah, that's true. Actually, some doctors are starting to not call. They don't want to say. They don't want to offend their patient if they're overweight. You know, and that's the other thing. Or psychologists are talking to somebody and they might be confused with their sexuality, and if they're explaining something to them, then they're transphobic. So this is it's for them generally trying to help their patients. Peterson is getting more and more based, and I'm here for it. But he's saying things that I think other people were probably thinking, and he just said it outright, you know? And that's part of, I'm just looking at some of the energies for the day. That's where a lot of people are going to be emotional and get upset over things, right? And they're going to get pissed off over things. And it is that that's where society is right now. And it's when you look into, like, we came off of the cardiology ward. um the majority of people up there were men. There were a few women that were up there, but the majority I saw were basically all men, but they're older men who had high blood pressure, diabetes, things like that. And these guys weren't young guys in their 30s or 40s. I'd say some of them, majority of them were in their 50s, 60s, and 70s, that were up there on that ward. And it's, as you get older, things aren't working. Or some of these guys that were on the ward, these guys are, most of them that came into Steve's room were workaholics. I would say they're workaholics. There was a lovely Hutterite man, who, I mean, he worked hard. He works hard. He was funny. He was a very funny man. But you could see he went out there and he works his ass off. Another guy, he owned a golf course, and he bought it and he made it and he designed the whole golf course and stuff like that. He does his wheelings and dealings. He's a self-made millionaire, guy. And he is up there as well. And you could see that a lot of these guys that were up there, they're just not thinking so much as healthy. I gotta live a healthy lifestyle, as, okay, let me eat to get what I need. And their body has worn and torn. When you see a young girl, when I see young kids that are obese, um it bothers me. It really bothers me. Unless there is a medical condition, for that child to be obese. Because I don't think there's any reason for a child to be obese and to be way, above their weight. There's just no reason. To me, that's in some ways that's just abuse. That's just, um, and I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but it's where parents have to learn how to feed their baby. Like, in some parts of the states, they have to ban Mountain Dew because they feed their babies Mountain Dew instead of milk, from the age of 1 up, and their teeth are bad and everything's bad. This is our society. This has to be, taught that this is bad. Some of them don't know. They don't think about it. They don't think, well, I have a Coca-Cola. What's wrong with my 2-year-old having a Coca-Cola? It's kind of a lot of sugar, kind of a lot for them to digest with their little liver and everything. So these are things that, within our society have to be taught, right? When I see a young girl who is obese and she's in her 20s, I start to wonder, what's going on. And I start to be concerned, because someone who is obese, someone who has struggled with their weight all their life, and this is this is what's funny is like when I look back at my pictures when I was a kid, I was not fat. I was not fat, but I was teased brutally by others on being called fat from grade 1 up. And that's why I hated school, because I got teased. I was brutally teased. And all my, my mother used to say, just tell him sticks and stones, may break my bones, but words will never harm me. This is, these were the things that, I got to be tough and don't let these words hurt me. But they did, being a very sensitive child, right? And back in the 60s and 70s, they were just finding out about self esteem. Self esteem wasn't anything until the 60s and wasn't brought into practice until the 70s and early 80s. That's when self esteem started to be told. Before that, our parents did not think of what they might have, the words might have hurt, but you got to suck it up and get out there and get going. That's how they were brought up, because that part of psychology was not there yet. That part of understanding the development of the brain and your self-esteem was not understood, because throughout history, throughout society, I think people were hurt by words, were hurt by things. I mean, we're no different than our ancestors from a 4,000 years ago, except maybe we have central heating and indoor plumbing. Otherwise, we're really not that much difference. And even then, if you go into ancient Rome and stuff, they had heated floors and indoor plumbing. So so really in some ways there isn't much of a difference. But we didn't understand the psyche of people. And that's what we're always discovering. We're discovering different parts and different layers of being human. There's so many different layers. And as I was growing up, and I look at even pictures of me, I was like 127 pounds when I was in grade 11, and I got teased that I was fat. So I felt like I had to be 100 pounds. There's no way my body would go down to 100 pounds. If it did, I would be a skeleton. I really would, because at 127 pounds, between 125 and 127 pounds, I was fit. I was a fit kid. I used to jog. I used to cycle. I was very active in doing many different things. I used to figure skate when I was younger. I did all of these things. I was a very active person. So muscle weighs more than fat, you know. But it was just one of those pieces of my life that I had to work through. And even today, it's like I'm still working through it. But anytime I see somebody who is obese that doesn't have a medical problem, like a thyroid issue, or they're on steroids, I'm gonna bet they don't have that big of self-esteem. Their self-esteem is low. They'll come across and they'll have a lot of hidden things. But my thought is that there's always issues in the tissues. When people are putting weight on, there's a reason, because your body, your weight, your skin is your first defense. So what are you defending from? What are you hiding from? I'm very good from hiding from society. I don't like to go out in public. Hence, I'm good once I get out there, but to get out there, it's a big kick in the ass. Um, so I've learned through as growing up to get out there, to not to be afraid, but it takes a little bit. My husband's more of the guy who will get to know everybody's name before me. I can be very shy. Like I'm not very go and ask. No, I'm very thoughtful. Okay, this person's busy. I'm not just going to go in there and interrupt and all this kind of stuff where my husband would. So it's society's funny. Society's funny. And I think we're still learning layers. And I think through all of this, understanding people's weight, understanding people's sexuality is something that we are learning and discovering throughout our walk. This is, when I teach my course, Finding Your Blue Flame, that inner mean girl, understanding who your inner mean girl is. and why is your inner meat girl, why she does what she does is a big thing. And, many of that's just to protect you, to make sure that you feel safe. But it's, loving your inner mean girl. And I talk about that too in Journey Club, is like, loving that inner mean girl and saying, you know what? It's okay. It's okay. Sometimes, you know what? You just might not have your life all together. You just might, and putting yourself down for it is just going to cause you more problems. So yeah, it's we're in a crazy world right now. And I think Jordan Peterson probably got a lot of support too in what he said. And a lot of people probably didn't like it, but free speech does not allow idiots to outright lie about serious issues. Free speech is also the solution to counter these lies and save lives. That's what somebody just said on here. No fat chick rage quits Twitter. This is an epic headline. But that's the whole thing, is that people are going to say things and you may not like it. People might say it's okay to be fat. Okay. To a certain degree, it's okay to be fat, but it's, I think people have to look at, I'm very conscious of what I eat. And now that I'm, at a certain age in my life, it's harder to lose weight, harder to do this. So I've stepped into enjoying my life and just trying to do the best I can, and that's where I'm at. So good question. Led to so many other things. That's what happens when you ask me a question. But yeah, today is a day of facing things, facing a lot of realities, facing a lot of things. I think, we're still on this, slippery road, and trying to spin things around. I was trying to hold in a yawn. But what do you want in your life? Finding who you are, your true self, and to focus more on your true self and how you feel. That's the thing, and that's the other thing with Hollywood. When, who is it? The one singer, and she went and she got herself healthy. Can't think of her name. Anyways, and she lost all that weight. People were mad at her for losing the weight. That's the other weird thing, is that people be mad at you because you become healthy. And she just stopped drinking. She started to eat better. She started to exercise. Adele. Yeah, her. You tell I'm a real Adele fan, right? Adele. And people were pissed at her, really mad at her for losing her weight. Now, the other one is Lizzo. Lizzo comes out and like she's unfortunately, I think Lizzo needs to eat healthier. I mean, I bet you 10 to 1 when she gets off stage, she's got medical help. She has oxygen. I bet you 10 to 1 she has oxygen and everything else waiting for her off stage just to keep her going, and her body hurts because of the amount of weight that she has to carry around. It's great. She can flaunt it, jiggle it, do whatever, and think it's, whatever. And be in love with who she is. And I'm not going to deny that she is or isn't, but I'm going to tell you, I bet you 10 to 1 she's got oxygen, because I know people who are quite famous, who have been obese and have been that active and been that way, but they're usually on an IV afterwards to make sure that they get for dehydration and oxygen, and their body hurts. So that's the other part too. Is like, why are you putting your body through all of that? The other one is that the one girl from Tasmania, the Australian girl who's with the blonde hair, who's lost all the weight as well. She had a gastrointestinal operation. So basically her stomach was stapled to lose weight. And, I guess when you get into Hollywood, there are certain things that you start to do. You might get famous on your weight and then want to lose it. But then there's men who were quite overweight in Hollywood and they're dead now. John Belushi, he was one. Cocaine didn't help. Um, and other drugs did not help. John Candy was another one. He died in Mexico filming, and he was quite an obese man, and he died of, I think, of heart issues. There was one guy, and his name. You're gonna date myself. Bonanza. He was the big guy, Haas from Bonanza, and he died when he was trying to lose weight, but he was losing weight too fast. He went on one of these trendy diets, and his body could not handle it. That's the other extreme. Yeah, Chris Farley, yeah, too. He's another one. So I mean, that's the thing. Is like, you know, drugs didn't help. Drugs didn't help Chris Farley either. He's another one. But that's the thing, is that to have a healthy lifestyle. And I think when I look a lot with mine, I try, as getting out, connecting is very important. John Pinay, not sure if the spelling. He was a famous comedian. Yeah. So a lot of those guys, and even girls, and I think for women too, it's if a lot of you who watch me are, are beautiful young women, a lot of, but when you get into menopause and you get into your 40s and 50s and even up into your 60s, you really do have to watch your weight. I mean, it will play on you, your hormones and everything else, on what that does to your body. And how your body works everything off. I mean, you really have to be aware of it as well. So it's just, yeah, one of those things. But this is a Mars Neptune transformation, trying to make things happen. That's where we're at. And this is like the energies of eclipses last for 6 months. Basically, they show you on the things, like this week is kind of showing you where life is going to be starting to set for you, right? If you stay ready, then you don't have to get ready. Very true, Miss Honeybee Love. The more you face that are hard, the more good will come. That's what I wrote this morning. This is part of my notes. So the notes are going to bring up for you to have to be real. They're South Node Scorpio, North Node in Taurus, and they're there for about another year. So this is like, what do you have to clear? And this is the lunar just happened. The lunar is just happening on what you have to clear. And I think for us here in our family, it's looking at things of what we have to clear, what we have to do, and be real with it. It's where we've been since February in a medical situation, and through all of February, March, well, from March, April, now we're going through March, April, May, June, July. So Steve is going to be out of commission until probably the middle of July, August. So for most of the summer, he's out of commission. He won't be able to work. He's not going to be able to do things. And which is fine. So this is where you face it. You face it. This is okay. What do we got to do? All right. I got to get a part-time job. Part-time job, I'm hoping, might lead to something else. I don't know. I'm just putting it out there. Not going to push the factor though. And this is where it's like, okay, what other things do we have to look at? And, he could still fish. Actually, he cannot fish at all. He is not allowed to fish for over 6 weeks. He cannot do any fishing, any fly fishing, because he can't lift up over anything over 10 pounds. And it's on his left side, but he can't put any extra strain on it. Yeah. So no fishing, no using a chainsaw, no mowing the lawn, and things like that. So what does that mean for us? So this is like, okay, what do we have to face at this time? What are the changes that we have to do? And looking at that, So, and can he drive? He can drive in a week, but he doesn't really drive that much anyways. It was funny because he just started to go back to driving. I got to keep looking at the time because I have to pick up Mateus. But he was feeling it was too much for him. He's still recovering from the stroke. So he's doing the recovery from the stroke, and the rehab from the stroke has stopped, and he won't be able to do the rehab, go back to rehab for the stroke, which won't be for another till July, August, till he's cleared by all the doctors. So that's the healing journey, and it's like, okay, what do we have to face? We got to face these things. And even when it comes to moving, what do we got to face? So this is like for each of us to look at what are the things in your life you have to face. And Walmart here, I'm holding my little thing. Walmart, my little pointy stick. Walmart just came out with some hard facts about retail, and that they're being very cost effective, and they're wanting to be the lowest price, right? Walmart, they came out today, the CEO of Walmart came out and said he does not even think that they're going to be able to keep the prices down, because there's first of all, they're blaming it on the wrong thing. They're blaming it on the Russian invasion, but it's not. It's more, it's going back to the pandemic. It's going back to the shutdown, the lockdowns. You weren't allowed to work. You can't do this. The backup of shipping containers, the United States not signing the deal for the oil, the pipelines and things. See, people don't understand that they can protest and everything about the pipeline, and I feel like I want to go around to people and say, give me your cell phone. Give me your cell phone. Oh, by the way, you can't drive your car, whether it's electric or not, because your dashboard, your tires, they all are made from oil. So it's like, so anyways, so we have this slowdown that's happening. So retail, I believe, is dead. People are not buying stuff, they're looking at, okay, I need to get set up because winter is coming. The shit's going to be starting to hit the fan, and this summer is going to be a big one for people, especially for those people who aren't awake and who aren't ready for this. And with Walmart coming out and stating what about the retail and looking at prices, and they're not going to be able to keep the prices down, that's huge. So when it comes to food costs and that, I mean, there's going to be food, but it's going to be, you're going to pick on what you're going to eat. In the 70s, I hated, my mom made a dish, and it was with canned tomatoes that we had and beans, and then she would use stewing beef, and then we would have a rice with it, or a potatoes, usually potatoes, because my dad hated rice. How English, right? And mom would make that quite often, or she'd make goulash a lot. So these are the things that people are going to be looking at. What are you going to be making, and what are you going to be eating a lot more of, that because that's what you can afford, right? So it's, when you hear these things that are coming up, when these guys are saying things. So this is an important step that we have to look at, and facing facts and facing things that are going to happen. How many people are going to JP Morgan came out also and saying in the States, gas is going to probably go to between $6 and $7 a gallon. So how many people are going to be traveling? And that, a lot of people won't be able to be affording to travel, or you're going to make that your priority. You're going to make that camping trip your priority. The people who have money, the rich people who have money, like the guy who owns the $23 million house, he's fine. right? It's the people who are the middle class and below that are not going to be fine. They're the ones that are going to be struggling. So this is where people are going to be reprioritizing what they want to do, and where they want to, really put their energy towards things. And that's the way that we're going at this time. So it's calling to reprioritize. So my loves, reprioritize, face what you have to face, and life will be good. Because when you do that, it's going to open doors for some really fabulous things and some freedom. So let's step forward into our freedom, into our light, and having some awesome times. If you are wanting, tomorrow night, I start the shamanic astrology. If you are wanting to join me, come and join me. This is going to be great. I said it's going to be 7 weeks. It might be a little bit longer because there's some other parts to it that I really want people to get into. Learning your BFF planet. Okay. So if you want to join me, it's $200, and then you get two other planets with it. I'll just throw some planets in there for you. 2 other workshops for you. I only did the first week, and we're going to look into what shamanic astrology is. Then we're going to step into the sun, and then we're going to step into the moon. And then I'm going to get us to look at our charts. I'll add you to the group on Facebook. Okay. Alexi, I'll add you to the group. And this is where we're going to step into and look at your charts. We're going to pull up everybody's chart, and we're going to look at, and we're going to go through. I got a worksheet for us to do. And so that you guys can get to know who your BFF planet is. And so your BFF planet is the planet that shows up the most, or that energy that shows up the most within your chart in different areas. And when you get to know what that energy is, that BFF is, it's, when you are going through a situation, or you're going through something, you start to tune into that energy. Plus, most of the planets are aligned with a god or a goddess, and they're aligned to angels as well. So you can start accessing, beyond, within that planet of the gods, of the goddesses, and of the angels, and to help to guide you. And I think the more that we do that, the more then again we can be in tune to and be prepared to what we need to be prepared for. So if you're interested in joining me, let me know. It's every Thursday evening. And so the first class is tomorrow night. Lexi, I'll add you to the group. And anybody else who wants to be added to the group, just let me know. And it's $200. And the next class, the spiritual clearing class, is I think June 5th. So I'm playing it by ear because I haven't booked off any time to say that I can't work on something or at work though. So it might be the 5th or the 6th, might be on the Sunday too. So everything's going to be recorded. It's going to be in there, and you're driving to Manitoba tomorrow. Woo-hoo, party time. Whoop, whoop, whoop. So sending you guys out so much love, and we'll catch you tomorrow sometime. All right. Not tomorrow, Friday. Blessed be, and we're heading into a long weekend. Blessings, everybody. Bye-bye.